Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's quarterly initiative update related to FERC Order 881, Managing Transmission Line Ratings, Phase 2. My name is Isabella Nicosia, representing ISO's Stakeholder Affairs, and I'll be facilitating the web conference today. I'm also joined on the line by Raja Tapatabula, our Director of Operations Engineering Services. Before we get started, I just want to make you all aware that the presentation is available out on the initiative webpage. You can access that page by going to kaiso.com. And then under the Stay Informed tab, you'll see Policy Initiatives. If you click that link, it'll take you out to our initiative landing page where you can either search for the FERC Order 881 initiative webpage or just scroll down on the page. And then the presentation will be one of the very first items posted to that FERC 881 page. Before I hand things over to Raja here in a moment, I just want to go through some housekeeping reminders. So this call is being recorded for informational and convenience purposes only. Any related transcription should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. And then if you need technical assistance at any point during today's call, you can send a chat to the event producer. We will be pausing for questions today, so if you connected to audio through your computer or use the Call Me option in WebEx, you can select the raise hand icon, which is located at the bottom of your screen. And then if you dialed into the conference separately, you'll need to press #2 to raise your hand. And then just a reminder to everyone on the phone today to please remember to state your name and affiliation before making your comment. And then you can also send your question through the chat to all panelists, and we'll be monitoring that today as well. So as far as the agenda goes for today, I'll hand it over to Raja here in a second, and we'll kick things off with the project status and OT Webline R, and then we'll leave some time at the end to go over the goals for 2024. So with that, I will hand things over to Raja, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Isabella. Good morning. I'm going to tag team here with one of our SMEs, Sirajul Chowdhury, who is working on the track 1 with some of the stakeholders. So he's going to go through some of the slides. But here is the key project timeline where we are with respect to the full order number 881 compliance, right? So as you are aware, we have split this overall project, KAISO RCVS project, under 3 different tracks. Track 1 is the real-time reliability application. So this is where right, the TOPs that will be ready, that can send us the ratings through their ICCP process that have been used, that they have been using in their real-time process today, can start send those ratings to us, and these ratings will be utilized in our real-time reliability applications. So such as EMS, EMNA, RTCA, all that processes, right? So the goal was initially Q2 2024 go live, but we had some minor delays, especially with the FAC 11 standard changes. I know some of you that are aware. There are different standard changes that are effective April 1st, and those standards changes necessitated for us to divert some of our resources, especially same resources that work on this track 1 to get those implementations done. So we've been working on that. So overall, the tools will be ready by Q2 2024, but at the same time, right, as I mentioned, Sirajul has been working with some of the TOPs to build the mappings. Next slide is going to talk more about what the work that he's going through. Right, it's not just we are ready and TOPs can send the ratings to us, right? There's model mapping needs to be done so that our tools and the TOPs tools are talking with each other, right? So those are things that mappings need to be done. And he's actually, in fact, started working with the TOPs that are working with him. So there's an opportunity for you guys, any other TOPs that are willing to work with us, start working on that mapping. Again, it's not that once we are ready that we expect the TOPs send the data, because it's the full compliance is still July 1st, 2025. So if TOPs are not ready, they don't need to do anything, right? At the end of the day, that's our goal. At the track 2, this is where I'm going to talk today more what we are trying to do on the track 2, right? The track 2, as we have mentioned earlier as well, is where we're going to build a look-ahead application. What does that mean, right? Look-ahead application which can receive the 240 hours of rolling 240 hours of ratings, both any of the ratings that the TOPs can provide through the process. So initially we were looking at developing our tool internally versus we also looked at vendors. Now finally we finalized OETA WebLiner product. So we are working with them to finalize that. That we are hoping that everything will be ready in 2024 in the sense that application can receive the ratings, the look-ahead ratings from the TOPs, right? Again, it's not required that TOPs will be sending the data. And the track 3, which is the major component of this, is is it impacts every application that we have: the markets, the day-ahead market, real-time market, then RC West look-ahead reliability tools, the deep day-ahead studies, D+2 studies, D+3 studies, the outage studies, especially the short-term outage studies that we run 7 days out. Those tools need to be made changes so that we can use the ratings that are coming in, at least the 10 days rating that are coming in. Also the ATC calculations, whatnot. So there's a lot of tools that needs to be changed. So based upon our vendor availability and our internal resources, we are seeing that there's going to be some constraint issues and potential delay for some of the implementation. So what we're trying to do at this point internally at KAISO RC West is what applications can we should get it done, like markets can be done, and then maybe some of the applications, the look ahead reliability tools can be delay, right? Again, if we decide that we had to delay some of those things, we got to go to FERC and get their approval too, right? Again, that is where, so we are still working on that internally. Once we get more concrete identification, what those tools that we can guarantee get them, and what the tools that we cannot implement by this time, we're going to share that information with you guys and make sure at the same time go to FERC and get their extension as well. So again, one thing is, right, we are not the only entity that only ISO RC that is seeing some potential delays. We've been in constant communication with other ISOs, other RCs across the interconnection on the Eastern interconnection too. So they're struggling on the same side because this impacts pretty much every application that the RCs and ISOs have. And one complexity for us too, right? Most of our studies are 24-hourly studies in the ISO. And that complicates, right? D+2 reliability studies are 24-hourly studies. So now each hour you have a different rating. So you have to make the tools ready for that. So that all those advanced applications, which result in more complexity for us to implement this. So that's where we are. Again, we are sure that we'll get some tools done, and what those are, we'll finalize and we'll share that with you guys. So any questions on this slide before we go to the next slide deck? Just want to make sure that when there's a delay, it's not delay of the whole project, right? We're going to implement some things for sure, and remaining things we're going to go and request for an extension where we are. I can take questions at this point. Event manager, are there any hands raised? I cannot see them. So.
We do not have any hands raised yet. We just have one. Give me one moment. Yeah. You are unmuted. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Veera Kumar from Advanced Labs PG&E, as an analyst. So I have a question on the WebLiner tool.
Sure.
I want to know more about that tool. I want to know whether it is in the corporate network, or is it in a network similar to EMS and KAISO, and how the communication is expected. Basically, looking for more information on that OETA, the WebLiner product, and how that communicates our side.
Yeah, Veera, I think your audio is a little bit low, but let me make sure if I understand your question correctly, right? So you want to know more about that OETA WebLiner tool. I got a couple of slides where I can talk about, but in general, right, I'm not going to go in deep. At the end of the day, it's on the same lines as WebOMS, which most of the TOPs today interact with ISO RC West. for managing their outages, whatnot, right? So OETA developed the tool. So that tool, essentially, WebOMS has all the modeling information that we have. RC West footprint wide, it has all the network model data, all the equipment that needs to be have ratings, whatnot. So what we're looking into is they utilize that same information and develop a tool, new tool, WebLineR, which is their base product. But again, the base product, we definitely have to make changes to make it work for us because we have different needs, whatnot. So essentially that is just like WebOMS. So that's how it's going to work. All the user management, certificate management, a lot of this, but we haven't seen that fully to see how is it exactly same or is it difference, right? We have not seen. We have seen the couple of demos, but it's not in the full scale testing, whatnot. So as we go through it, we'll definitely share more information as you need, right? What will it look like? But essentially for us, we are looking at to make sure that we are not adding another mapping layer on top of what we have. So already the WebOMS mappings exist between the TOPs and the KAISO RCWest model, right? So we're gonna, if you use the same data, technically that should not need any new mappings. Does that help your question,
Yes,
Avira?
that's helpful. That's helpful. One more follow-up,
Sure.
Is it going to receive ratings directly? Is it going to get any lookup tables from other PTOs? Like any ideas like that, or is it too early?
No. Yeah, I think as you're aware, I think we've been sharing this since day one about this, right? We didn't go on the direction of look ahead tables on our side, right? I know some other RCs have done that. We've seen some of the complexities with that too, right? At the end of the day, the path that we chose was the TOPs calculate those ratings and send to us through this application, right? Either ICCP for real time or look ahead applications, the 240 or so look ahead ratings into this new application that I'm talking about, WebLineR. So it will be the calculated rating that will come directly from you folks to us, adjusted, ambient adjusted ratings. So essentially no lookup tables whatsoever on that will be decided on this. But there's going to be, I have a slide to talk more about that. There's going to be some exceptions, right? Whatnot, right? Yeah, we'll definitely do, but no lookup tables.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Do we have any additional questions? Any people raise hands? If not, we can move on to the next slide, which most probably Sirajul is going to cover. Yeah, Sirajul has been working with our TOPs, as I mentioned. In fact, a lot of TOPs is having one-on-one calls. So Sirajul, go ahead and discuss this to the next slides.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to go over the track one piece of it. So track one is moving fairly well along with the FAC 11 requirements, a little bit extra requirements. So there are some commonalities, but we are making good progress for track one. And we uploaded the template based on our latest database that we deployed. We call it database number 125 that we deployed in November 14th of last year. So far, that is the last database running in production. So what we did is we created the template part TOP name on it at the end, or BAs like APS, AVA. You can see the name of the TOPs, BAs names are there. And we send a message to RC West, and we'll be talking about this in the data exchange work group in future. So, so the template generated from our full network model, based on the SIM compliant full network model that has a, geographical name, subgeographical name, and the station name, station RDF ID, equipment name, equipment RDF ID, and rest of the parameters to create a cross-link to receive data from TOPs with the ICCP ID for the one normal and up to 4 emergency ratings and the duration and the reasonability limit. So that's basically it. It's pretty straightforward, very simple Excel type template that we created, and you can go and retrieve your specific data. And I've been working with 8 TOPs so far, one-on-one, going over the template and, help them out. And if they have any further questions, whoever showed interest so far, we have a one-on-one meetings. Like yesterday, I had a meeting with VEA, and we are having second meeting with IID and PG&E, BPA. So several large entities, Seattle City Light. So we already have a one-on-one discussion, and I have a second tab on the template that gives you some examples how to fill it out and good stuff. But we are here to help. Anything you guys need, any clarifying questions. So kindly, my request is to go through the template and look at it and send a request to me, and we'll go over it. If you have any further questions, we'll take it from there. And some of the entities like IID, VEA, PG&E, they're pretty advanced, and they will be thinking by Q2 they'll be ready sending us data via ICCP. So that's where we are at this point in time. And as far as generating new template, because it's kind of pretty time consuming for us, 2024 we'll do another update during summertime with your latest and greatest model change, and then the next one will update the last database of end of this year, M12 model, which will be DB132. That will go live in December 16, 2024. And so once we get all the template data filled in by December 16, 2024 database, then we'll start testing in January, full-blown, whoever are coming in January till July 12 go-live preparation, since we have so many TOPs and BAs to go over. So we'll try to cascade testing and try to implement. And 2024, with handful of BAs, we'll get the process, perfection and testing, and make sure the process is working fine. And we are also making changes on our EMS software upgrade that will be done by several sprint, will be done by Q2 2024. Next slide, please. And once we receive the data, I wanted to go over the priority schemes in EMS, how we process the MBR adjusted ratings. EMS has a priority scheme of data processing and pass the active limits to the downstream reliability applications like RTCA, state estimator, real-time BSA, etc. So priority one is the operator entered limits, because operator can, RC operator or TUP, our transmission operator can manually override data if they see some inaccuracies in the data, or if they see the data is not, even though data is updating, but it looks suspicious. By talking to the TOPs on the phone, they may update manually till data is fixed on the other end, sending ends. So that will be the priority number one in our software scheme. And priority two will be direct telemetry coming via ICCP data link. As long as telemetry is valid, then software will pick up the ICCP data. If ICCP data is not available from the TOPs, then we'll go to WebLiner, which will pull out the current hour and next hour data into EMS. So if you look at the picture below, here is showing the left side of it is the direct telemetries, and then the right side is data interface with the WebLiner, sending data to EMS for the current hour and the next hour. As a placeholder, EMS will keep them as a backup data, or it will be used as a primary data if if TOP does not send anything via ICCP. So basically, some TOP said that we'll just send it in WebLiner, and you go use it from WebLiner. So we have multiple ways of data submission process. So if the telemetry is not valid, suppose the link, ICCP link goes down, then we have a specific timer per sub-geographical region basis. We'll have a write-through timer. We may have a default that timer to 60 minutes. So after an hour, we'll look for, if the link doesn't come back, then we look for what other alternative data we have so that we get the greatest and latest. So we fall to the priority 3, and we look at WebLiner if participant has submitted anything, even if we lose the direct telemetry, then we use the WebLiner data for the current hour. And we always keep 1 hour extra in case something happens that we have a communication breakdown between EMS and WebLiner. At least we have 2 hours of data in our disposal for safety purpose. And if we do not have priority 3, the last option is to use what we use today, the static seasonal ratings. Okay, so that's the way we have the priority scheme set, and then we'll have the forecasted ratings in WebLiner, the rolling 10 days forecasted rating that will be going into track 3 process in the market and others. So that's the way we have it. So I'm just willing to take any questions you guys have for previous slide or this slide. I'll be happy to answer.
Yep.
Either here.
Thank you, Sirajul. So I
online.
think before we get the next question, there was a chat question that I want to address, right? From Quanta. I think I remember seeing that. Really small. Yes, I think there was a question surrounding, was there a delay in the track 1 if the TOPs need to file at FERC? No, at this point, right, the just delay is a couple of months. And again, the tool will be ready by end of this Q2 2024. And the compliance for the TOP starts only on July 2025, right? So if the TOPs are able to send the ratings to us, I don't think there's any extension needed for TOPs. So the delay is just for a couple of months. So hope that clarifies your question. So again, the delay compared to where we thought we'll be last year, right? So yeah, we thought by Q1 the tools will be ready. Now we are expecting by Q2 2024. That I just want to make sure that the confusion is clarified, right? The look-ahead ratings will be received through this WebLiner product, the 240 hours. I know we have shared in previous discussions, right, what those looks like. And we also have white paper that will detail about what we expect, what the data will look like, what not. So, as long as TOPs will be ready to calculate their ratings, ambient edges ratings on the equipment that they deem necessary, and as long as they can send to ISO or RC, I think that should end the compliance, at least from a rating submission point of view for the TOPs. There are other components of the order, right? The TTC calculations and ATC calculations, all those things. So, but it's up to the TOP to determine what they can achieve by 2025. But at least from ratings providing to ISO RC, if as long as they do it by July 2025, it should be fine. So there's another question for the 240 ratings. How frequent does CAISO expect the members to update? It's the 881 order has requirements that it's updated at least once every hour. Again, updated means once every hour you are making sure that those are the accurate numbers. If the temperature does not change, you might not get updated numbers. So right? At the end of the day, it's all based upon the temperature change and the degree change, whatnot, right? If the temperature does not change, you might not get any updated. But as long as you let the tool know that these are the numbers, maybe there's no change, right? Yeah. Okay. So there's another question: will the real-time market update every hour with these values as well? Yep, I think that is our intention, Nadia. That is every hour as we get this rolling 240 hours of data, our real-time market will be utilizing those updated numbers in the real-time process, the hour-ahead process, the 15-minute market process. Same thing with the day-ahead market as well. So when it's running, it's going to use the ratings that are sent by 9 o'clock that morning for the day-ahead market. So it will be utilizing the updated embedded GIS ratings as they come in through the seasonal ratings. So the priority scheme that Sirijul talked about here, right, is if the ratings doesn't come, if the tools have issues, and obviously the fallback, right? You want to fall back to the seasonal rating, and that is the process that we're going to use to fall back to the seasonal ratings. Hope that helps address some of the questions. Are there any other further questions for Sirijul or myself before we move to the next slide?
We don't have any hands raised. Oh, we just have one that went up. One moment. You are unmuted. Go ahead. Nadia, we cannot hear you if you're speaking.
Hi, this is Nadia Worth, Pacific Core. Can you?
Nadia,
Yep, go ahead, Nadia.
Okay, sorry about that. New headphones. Okay, I'm glad that you touched. Thank you for answering my questions. That was very helpful. I'm glad that you touched a bit on the day ahead market. So I just had a follow-up clarifying question. So for when EDAM is launched at 9 a.m., all of those schedules are supposed to be frozen, essentially just to give the participant pretty much a schedule that they can meet. So when you mentioned that the ratings are sent over for 9 a.m. for the day ahead market, does that mean that whatever the last updated ratings will be utilized throughout the whole market until 1 p.m. when the market clears in the day ahead process, or will those values keep updating each hour kind of while the market is still optimizing all those schedules?
I was on mute, so
No problem.
so yeah, sorry for that. But yeah, so anything that comes in before 9 o'clock, right? It might come right at 9 or 8:59, right? Depending upon schedules when each entity is updating their process, right, to get the temperatures, whatnot. So those most updated right at 9 will be utilized throughout that. So it won't be updated during the morning because at the end of the day, right, there's a lot of different processes that gets run during the market. The model will get developed each of those hours, right? So you cannot go and update another ratings dump at that gets in at 10. So there's no way you can do that iteratively, interactively. So yeah, ratings that come in at 9 o'clock, the most updated ratings will be utilized for the market, and the market clears, as you mentioned, and the results are posted by 1 p.m. Right? Yeah. So yeah, a lot of process goes in there. So it's not going to be iterative. Hope that help address your question, Nadia.
Yeah. And then so that time period after 1 p.m. when the market clears all the way into hour ending 1 with the WEIM, those will still utilize those same exact schedules up until we're hitting the operating day.
So yeah, so the real-time market is running right its own schedules, right? So right now, what we filed at FERC, right, it can be changed. We're still debating whether it is changed. What we said is, right, we are getting these hourly readings every hour, right? Every hour we are getting, and what we said is the real-time market processes will be utilizing the ratings that came in 5 hours before when they're executing, right? So If the 2 o'clock one is executing at 2 o'clock, it's going to use the ratings that came in 5 o'clock, not 5 hours before, so that it's locked down. As schedules are locked down, a lot of information gets locked down. So we wanted to make lock down the ratings that gets used in the real-time market. So the next session, the 3 o'clock, it uses the previous 5 hours back. So it uses the updated, but it's going to use like the ratings that came in 5 hours back. So that's how we put it in. But potentially we are still looking internally. Do we really need 5 hours, or can we get to the last hour right before that market starts, right? The real-time market starts. So things can change, but at the end of the day, we want to use the most updated ratings. So, if you look at it, right, as long as the temperature, again, the ratings only gets updated if the degree changes by more than 5 degrees. In the sense, the temperature changes by more than 5 degrees. So even if there's a 9 o'clock, there's 8 o'clock, let's assume there's a 8 o'clock TOP calculated ratings at 8 o'clock, right? And then there's 9 o'clock. As long as the forecasted ratings doesn't change by more than 5 degrees, you won't see any rating changes. So it won't be like a 1 degree change, you will have a new rating. So it will be 5 degree blocks that FERC requires. So I'm assuming most of the TOPs are going to do that. So it's not going to change that, right? Just because you're using like 1 hour back, it's not going to be any updated ratings unless the temperature was more than 5 degree change from the forecasted when they get it.
Perfect. That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. So looks like there's another question. Yeah.
Other hand raised. You are unmuted. Please go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. This is Contact with Takuma Power. This is kind of a follow-up question for the question I raised about the 240 data point for future ratings. So if we only have 240 data points and that keeps rolling every hour, so I think the member don't have a choice but have to update every hour, like have to provide that the 241 41st point that kind of roll off, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're
correct.
Right. Because that's what the FERC order has mentioned, right? You got to rolling 240 hours, and you have to update the two. But again, the updates you might, if the temperature does not change, again, we have to see how the application, the WebLiner product gets developed, right? Maybe there should be an opportunity to say, hey, if the ratings doesn't change, you can send no changes. You just send the hour that gets added, right? So yeah, you could, again, we don't know all the design details. So as we go through it, we'll definitely share with you folks. At least that's our intention, because at the end of the day, we feel each of the TOPs need to develop their tools. So as soon as we finalize our things, we're going to share with you guys so you can start developing your side and be prepared.
Well, I think one thing that I hope you guys considers that some of the smaller utility may not have the tool. I think we may end up doing it manually rather than have an API or some sort of tool to do it. So I think it's more reasonable to expect the member to update the future rating once a day, especially for your utility that don't have like a big transmission system, or they live in they are in a temperature range in the beach south right next to the water, so the temperature change is not that extreme. So going back to that 240 data point, if you have some margin to it, say add in, instead of 10 days, doing 11 days or 12 days, or cover the weekend, I think that would be really appreciated. I think that really help us to be more in compliance. And the end of the day, there are many small utilities that not FERC jurisdictional. We try to, our best to comply with FERC, but we are not required to. So just thinking about that, if it's reasonable for us to update the rating and to support the reliability, I think we'll do that. But I think we may not be able to have the capacity to develop tools or even purchasing tool off the shelf to support this. So just a feedback from a very small utility in the Northwest.
Appreciate the feedback, and I think definitely, we are recording this session, so definitely we've taken notes. So we'll definitely have the conversation internally. Definitely, as we go through it, we'll definitely look into, right. Yeah, I think definitely understand the concern. Right, developing a tool is that to make it simpler for people that has only a couple of lines that they want to send as ratings. So yeah.
Thank you.
We'll definitely look into and we'll definitely reach out to you as we go through it. But Isabel, I think definitely take we're recording session, right? So just want to make sure that we can get this question addressed internally and look into finding a solution for that. Thank you. So there's another question from Mike. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on that. Oh, sorry. Am I muted?
No, you're not muted. You're good. Go ahead. I can hear
okay.
you.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on that. We're down here in Silicon Valley. We only have a couple of lines, and we're in the same boat here, and we're trying to figure out how to make this all work. So, if you put out any information on this, if you can include Silicon Valley as well, I appreciate it.
So, yeah, we'll do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, our goal is to make it user friendly to submit different things. You know, I know Khan mentioned APIs. I think they got to be. You can update from GUI as graphical user interface as well. So we'll look into different things to simplify. Question we'll definitely address that question. If there's no further questions, I think we can move on to the next slide. Again, I think we have talked about during the biggest upon some questions that we have got, right? So this webinar product, as I mentioned, will have the 240 hours of look-ahead ratings. Our intention is all the RC-based TOPs along with the KAISO PTOs, right? Everybody will be submitting the ratings through this process. Once the schema is finalized, we'll definitely share with you folks so that you can start developing your processes. As I earlier mentioned, right, all the network modeling data that WebOMS has essentially will be acquired by this new tool. So that should necessitate no new mapping process. So that should help out with some of the manual work. Next slide, please. So again, I think we have talked over the year what we're going to do. We're going to do some basic validation. We expect the TOPs calculated. We are not going to do any major temperature checks, whatnot. It is just range checks, right? You know what the rating is coming in. It's at plus or minus 15% or plus or minus 10%. We're gonna have TOPs have access to it. The what and the min max can be for each TOP because each TOP, each KV level, it will be different. So we're gonna work with the TOPs, or we can intervene and add the information if the TOPs want us to do that too. So there's going to be different ways of getting that min and max checks data added into these processes, right? And I think one major thing is the exceptions, right? I know a lot of TOPs have asked this question to us, right? How we will address the exceptions. What does that mean, right? In the way the 881. It requires all the transmission lines that you're selling transmission service, but right, but there might be a different reasons, like stability reasons, or there's a breaker rate, right? The different terminal equipment limiting the rating on that line, right, on the conductor, right? So if terminal equipment that based upon your transmission line rating methodologies, you don't calculate ambient reduced rating on the terminal equipment, then the rating does not change. So you can denote an exception, right? Obviously, you need to document in your process. We'll be documenting in this webinar tool as well. So the TOP is denoted, then they don't need to send the exceptions, right? So they don't need to send the ratings, ambient rating for those equipment. So we'll see we'll make sure that it's going to be user friendly, so you can actually the TOPs can manage this exception list in that. It will also have the storage for the TOP transmission line rating methodologies, which is a key, right? It's a password protected, obviously, so that the TOPs, the people the neighboring TOPs that request permission can have access to this, right? So that is and also the market monitor if the market monitor wants to have access, they can have to. At least that's how the language standard has been written. So we'll go through the process. We'll definitely share how it will look like. Make sure that we are not sharing with anybody that we should not be sharing. So that's going to be key on that process. Next slide. So again, I think, as I mentioned, the track 3, track 1, track 2, track 3, they're still our goals. We still try to get them compliance right. We have it right, but so a couple of key goals that we have on our plate is, because this involves working with WEC, right, as well as working with all those stakeholders here. One major question that we heard from the stakeholders as we also go through this process, we identified is how do you calculate TTCs, total transfer capability, right? You have a path. You have a bunch of lines that make up the path. Now, obviously, those bunch of lines, ambient adjust rating gets calculated. How do you adjust the total transfer capability on that path, right? Because historically, it's all seasonally done, right? You do seasonally, 2 seasons, summer and winter. But now, obviously, this 881 requires 4 seasons. So obviously, we need to get those tools, those studies done 4 seasons per year, and make sure that those TTCs get updated. But now, obviously, if the ambient adjust rating changes in real time, how do you adjust those TTCs, right? So those path, right? If it's all summation of all the rating of all 3 path lines, then you just sum it up. But if it's you run your studies, and then there's an underlying issue because of the underlying issue, you are setting up the limiting the rating on the path, then obviously you need to calculate as the lines rating changes based upon this AR process. So that involves a lot of calculations, and as the number of interface paths goes, right, it becomes a bigger problem to solve, right? Because you need to calculate this every hour, every day. So those are the things that we need to set up. So our plan, we've been talking with a couple of TOPs. So obviously, we need to finalize what we want to do, whether can we implement this on which paths, or maybe key paths that we can implement, maybe different things that we can do on other paths. I know there's some of the TOPs here that are attending today. Sorry, but my dog is all of a sudden started barking. But so we want to solve that issue. Any questions?
Are there any questions? As a reminder, you can raise your hand by selecting the raise hand icon located at the bottom of your screen. Or if you dialed into the phone only line, you'll need to press #2 to raise your hand.
Yep. Sorry, just let the dog out. But I think that is the one thing, right? The TTC is going to be a major problem for us, all of us, to solve across the Western Interconnect, especially because Western Interconnect has more interfaces that have this established path ratings, whatnot. So. As I mentioned, the other thing is seasonal models. Make sure that we have seasonal models for all of those, right? It's going from 2 seasons to 4 seasons. So we have a consistency on what those models need to be. Make sure that there's a development that gets done. So when you run the studies for these models are available for that. I can take questions.
All right, Raja, I'm not seeing any questions in the queue, although I did see a question in the chat come through. Any updates on when the BRS or BPM will be published?
I think, Sergio, if I remember correctly, at least for the track 1, we're working on the external BRS, right? For the track 1, to when we can publish the external BRS, yeah.
Yeah, track 1 BRS. Our PM is publishing it outside externally. I think very shortly, but I can definitely, we can give the exact date when it is published. And
thank you, sir.
It's pretty soon.
Right. Are there any other questions in the queue? Stacey, are there any questions on the phone only line?
No questions on the phone only line, and no raised hands in the queue so far.
Okay. All right. Well then, that wraps up today's quarterly initiative update. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at inicasia@kaiso.com, or you can send an email to our stakeholder affairs box, which is iso stakeholderaffairs@kaiso.com. And then all initiative related information and materials are available out on the initiative webpage, which is linked here on this slide. So I'll open it up for any last questions before we close out today. Okay, not seeing any. Well, thank you all for your time and for your participation today, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Thanks.